Hey everybody, I just wanted to show you how to make sauerkraut today, to show you how easy it is. It's not hard at all. It just takes you probably about 10 or 15 minutes to whip it up, cut up all your vegetables, throw it in a jar, and then set it on your counter, and then 6 days later you've got sauerkraut. So I already have a little bit chopped up already in my bowl, but you use about a half or so of a head of cabbage, and I just kind of chop it up fairly chunky because I kind of like chunky pieces. If you like it shredded more, you can shred it a little bit smaller, but I kind of like my pieces a little chunky. And I'm just throwing everything in a bowl here just to kind of keep it all together and allow me to mix it up. So I already have some apples in there. I just take an apple and a grater and just kind of grate your apple into the bowl. This is also kind of a large grater, so my pieces are a little chunkier. And I just kind of turn my apple and grate it. And I like putting apple in my sauerkraut. Some people don't. You know, there are so many different recipes out there that you can do. If you want to have maybe more flu and cold fighting properties, you can put in some orange juice instead of the apple juice that I do. You can put in garlic and onions. They really help with fighting flus and cold. If you're fighting the flu, you can just take like a teaspoon of the juice every hour, and it will just help knock out your flu. But just love all the probiotics that sauerkraut gives us. I already have, this is my probiotic starter culture. You can get it online. Just look for fermented vegetable starter culture, and you'll find some online. So I usually kind of mix it up about 10-15 minutes ahead of time and let it sit while you're getting all your vegetables together. The last thing I like to add, besides apple, jicama is also a probiotic. And so this is kind of what it looks like at the store. A lot of people haven't seen a jicama before. So this is kind of what it looks like. I kind of take off a chunk, and you need to peel it. But the fiber in apples and jicama actually feed the probiotics from your sauerkraut, and so it makes it more bioavailable, but it feeds it. It just helps helps it to populate, I guess you could say. You know, it just gives your probiotics food to eat, just keeps them really happy and growing and populating within your system. So I just do the same thing, just take my bowl and my grater, just kind of grate it up, and I put about half to 3/4 of a cup of jicama in there, and 2 to 3 apples along with my sauerkraut or my cabbage, and just kind of grate it up. So I'm just adding a few extra, or I said probiotics. I think I meant to say prebiotics. These are prebiotics. Apple and jicama are prebiotic, and they will feed it. So I got everything here in my bowl, and then you mix a half a tablespoon, because I'm making a half gallon of my sauerkraut. So I just kind of stir in a half a tablespoon of salt. And I like to use sea salt, or I'm from Utah. We have what's called real salt from the Redmond salt mine. And so it's not that, just kind of fake icky salt from the store. Oh, I didn't get a spoon. Here, I'll grab a spoon. So just kind of stir the salt in and get everything kind of mixed together and coated with the salt. So a couple weeks ago I added some cranberries, craisins to my sauerkraut. That was really good. Make it really festive for the holidays. So you can just really be as creative as you want to be with sauerkraut. If you like it spicy, put in some jalapenos. So it really, you can kind of be real creative, just experiment, try all the things that you would, think you would like, and see how it turns out. I kind of like my sauerkraut a little sweet and sour, so that's why I like to do mine with the apple and the apple juice. So this is always the fun part, is stuffing it into your into your jar. So once it's all mixed together, I got my cabbage and apples and jicama and my salt mixed in my bowl here. So now you just get to, I think this is probably the hardest part here, is just trying to get it into the jar. Because it just kind of takes a while without making much of a mess. And you just kind of get it in there. Whoops, dropping some on the floor. Yep, that's usual occurrence. And I kind of reach in and kind of push it down. Really pack it in there if you want. Yep. This is definitely the messiest part. But, you know, again, why is sauerkraut so good for you? When you put your starter culture, it gets the probiotics started with the probiotics that are already on your vegetables and fruit, and they feed and grow, and they also pre-digest all the vegetables that you put in here, so it's really easy to digest, and it just makes even extra vitamin C than the vegetables had in the first place. So they're just an amazing health food for you. They're just probably the largest probiotic powerhouse that you can do, and I eat probably a half a cup twice a day with lunch and dinner, and it just really helps keep me regular. It helps with candida, and just with a host of other things. Like I said, if you're fighting a cold or flu, you can drink the juice that is left in your sauerkraut. I even, in the morning, I usually just drink the juice. First thing, I'll drink like a half a cup just to get some probiotics into me first thing in the morning. And I really like doing that. So just kind of pack it down. And then I like to put a stick of cinnamon into it. So I just kind of just shove it down in there. Okay, and when I'm done with that, I pour my probiotic mixture that's been sitting for about 10 to 15 minutes. It just wakes up the probiotics within the starter culture, and it just kind of just starts it off ready to go. Some people put a little sugar in it just to kind of help feed it. It's not necessary, but you know, if you like to, go ahead. Being that I have apple juice in here, you probably don't need to add extra sugar, but if you're not using any apple juice or orange juice, you could add a little extra sugar. So this is a half a cup of apple juice, and all the measurements are on my website on the page under the recipe for sauerkraut. So I just pour all that in there, and then I just fill it up with the rest of the way with water. We have really good water where I live, so if you don't, I would use filtered water that doesn't have chlorine in it or any, you know, or the bad stuff in there. So I leave a little bit of space at the top because your sauerkraut will expand. Sometimes you can take a leaf of cabbage and roll it like a, I don't know, like a cigar or whatever, and you can just put them in there to stuff in there to kind of hold your sauerkraut down because it kind of rises and it expands. I don't worry about that a whole lot because I use my airlock lids, and so you put this lid on top. Whoop, if I can get it on. There we go. And then this creates like a vacuum. You fill it up with water to about halfway, and then you just stick it in the top there. So even if my sauerkraut raises above the water line, I'm not too worried about it because it's already kind of in a vacuum. This doesn't let any more air in, but it lets air bubbles out, because when your sauerkraut ferments, it releases the CO2 a little bit, and so bubbles will rise, and so this allows those bubbles to escape. You know, you can put just a regular plastic canning lid, like one of these on there, but I would kind of loosen it, let it burp or breathe, you know, let that happen about, I don't know, probably once a day. And then you have this little thing that goes on top there. And then you just put it on your counter for 6 days, and then you just take this lid off. I put this lid on and I throw it in my fridge and ready to go. So, I mean, you can see how easy it is to make your sauerkraut. I just stick it over here on my counter. I got it next to my kefir that's fermenting here. And I just leave it there for 6 days, let it ferment, and then you're having some yummy sauerkraut. So I hope that's helpful for you, seeing it live, showing you how to make it. So I hope it was a good, helpful thing for you. So yeah, I hope you have a good day. Thanks. Bye. So I just wanted to add at the end, I just made some pickles. Took me about 15 minutes. You just slice up the pickles, throw all the spices in, and your starter culture for your vegetables. It's so easy. Pickles only need to ferment 3 days on your counter. And I'll show you some of the other things we like to make for our family is carrot coins. They're just really good, really sweet. Kids like these probably the best, unless they're like a real pickle person. And then we do some dilled green beans. I use the same recipe as my pickles to make my dilled green beans. And they're just another variety of things to have. We always have lots of fermented vegetables around, just lots of choices for you to have, just to add to your meals as a condiment on the side. They're just packed full of probiotics, and it's a really inexpensive way to get your probiotics. You don't need to have buy all the expensive pills out there. So just enjoy your probiotic food, and it just keep you healthy. So thanks. Have a good day.